Social media platforms are the gasoline that's been thrown on the fire of disinformation. Disinformation, or the use of false or misleading information with malign intent, is something that is not just limited to foreign governments. It's also something that some business actors engage in. It's certainly something that political actors engage in domestic environments as well. And so I think for businesses, the most important thing to do is to be constantly scanning the horizon. Businesses are used to doing sentiment analysis about their products or services, but I think it's also important to track narratives of rumors that are going around. Sometimes those rumors might be, just silly little rumors that people are sharing online. Sometimes they might be more deliberately designed to mislead people about your products or services. And so having that sort of tracking capability, setting that up proactively so that you're able to understand when a rumor is going to trip a wire, that it requires a response from you, is the most important part of the strategic communications response to disinformation. And we learn this about how foreign disinformation works, but for some reason, it's taken a while for businesses to really absorb those learnings in the same sort of way. And by the way, of course, foreign sources can also target businesses because businesses are part of, the democratic environment and our capitalist environment as well. So I would say, as business leaders, are part of the solution to fighting back against disinformation. And part of that is communicating proactively, transparently, and telling a good story, right? This isn't just about putting a fact sheet out or a press release out. It's about communicating why you do what you do and why that is the truth above the lies that are being circulated about you or your business online. So gendered disinformation is disinformation about a sex or gender stereotype that is spread usually about women, but it can also be about LGBTQ folks. It can also be about other minorities. It tends to intersect with other identities, is what we've found in our research. And this can be really difficult for a company that is trying to achieve a workforce that looks like the population, that has women in leadership as well. Women who are subject to gendered disinformation tend to want to self-select out of public leadership, of public life. They tend to self-censor as well. And so one of the most important things that I urge business leaders to do in thinking about gendered disinformation and online abuse is thinking about what you will do for your employees, especially the ones who are in public roles, if this sort of vile attack comes for them. We know that women in leadership are subject to attacks about their appearance, about their sexuality, about their families, about their role in business organizations much more frequently than their male counterparts. And so the idea is thinking about what support you'll provide to them, but also if those online attacks become offline attacks, if they end up being doxing, if they end up being threats against the woman or her family, what the company will provide for those women as well. It shouldn't be something that women in public life need to bear alone. And that's slowly starting to change. But until now, gendered disinformation and online abuse have kind of been seen as the cost of doing business if you're a woman in public life. But I cannot impress upon anyone enough that you shouldn't be subject to attacks, again, based on your sexuality, and that most men in leadership roles are not. If we're going to equalize women's participation in public life, we need to be thinking, again, proactively about this stuff. And so learning from attacks on women through gendered disinformation in other countries is something that I'm really passionate about. And the one thing that I've learned is that being proactive, making sure that these women who might be under attack are feeling supported. They know that somebody's got their back if they're going to raise their voice. That's the most important thing. Social media platforms are the gasoline that's been thrown on the fire of disinformation. We've always had disinformation. This is something my audiences often tell me, well, Nina, we've had the Trojan horse since the days of old. What is different about today? And the difference is that social media platforms allow disinformers or folks who spread disinformation to target the audiences that are going to be most vulnerable to their narratives at a very minute level of detail. And then to spread those narratives at a speed that certainly Homer never would have thought about, right? This can travel from where I'm sitting in Washington, D.C., around the world several times and reach millions of people before anyone has ever even recognized that this narrative is a narrative of concern. That is the fuel that social media adds to the fire, both that precise targeting to the audiences that are going to be most vulnerable. This might be people who have a history of drug addiction, or have just gone through a breakup, or are interested in a certain cult movement. These are the types of segments that social media advertising offers to advertisers or to disinformers. And then beyond that, the virality that social media offers, that speed where folks can share and make a rumor amplified or blown up in a way that it never could have been if we were relying on word of mouth or even by print and television media. That's the danger of social media. And right now, as we sit and discuss this in 2025, we're seeing social media add even more fuel to the fire. They are taking off all of the restrictions that they slowly, begrudgingly added on for many, many years after facing pressure from publics around the world for not doing enough about online harms. In the political environment that we're in, they are taking those off. They are enjoying the regulatory space that they've been offered, and that is leading to more harm being spread online. I hope that audiences take away from my speeches the idea that we are not powerless to disinformation. I like to say that we are all on the front lines of the information war. And I don't mean that to scare anybody. You're not doing hand-to-hand combat with Russia, but we can stop dis and misinformation in its tracks if we just think about the content that we're encountering, how it's making us feel, why it got into our feeds in the first place, both from the perspective of the person who put that information there and the social media platforms who decided to serve it to us, right? If we think about the provenance of that information, then we can decide whether or not to share it, whether to report it, whether to perhaps post a comment that might give other people who are looking at that information some context or nuance about the information that's being shared. We all have a role to play. And I actually find that incredibly empowering. It's one of the reasons I teach my graduate students all about media literacy in the course that we do. I want everyone to be much more deliberate in the information that they consume. Right now, we get fed notifications and we're doom scrolling and it's all quite passive, right? But if we can add a little bit more deliberation to our online engagement, I think, again, we can stop disinformation in its tracks and we can be part of the solution to winning the information war.